Each year, without fail, I write myself a bunch of goals that I aim to accomplish in the next year. And every year without fail, virtually little to none of them have been achieved up until this year. But this year I tried something a little bit different, and despite 2022 starting off as one of the worst years of my life, unexpectedly 2022 ended up being the best year of my life, and I have every intention of making sure 2023 is the same. In this video, I'll be telling you how to make your year the same and make 2023 your best year yet. So, get a drink and let's have a little recap. To say the least, to me, this past year has definitely been interesting. That is the word I would use to describe the monstrosity that was the beginning of this year. And honestly, I was so optimistic to going into the year. I had everything planned out. I knew what my goals were, I knew what my aims were, I knew what I wanted to achieve. It just felt like it was not ripped out of my hands, but everything was just going sideways as opposed to straight. But I realized now that all of that didn't happen. I wouldn't be able to have such an amazing end to the year. 2022, first couple of months, found it very hard, and that was just because it was like everything was working against. But I also think it's really important to see how I changed my perspective on things. Obviously these things were happening to me, but you can also think like everyone has their own issues. At the same time, you're the only person who's feeling what's happening to you. So I think the biggest thing that threw me off was getting, and I'm not speaking about this again in 2023, so let's just make this clear, was getting robbed. And that was just like the biggest hitch in my journey. There were also personal problems, but I just don't think I was expecting all of that to happen this year. I started 2022 being in my second year of university, and that was a major thing for me. But because of everything, like I've never felt so academically like inhibited through like personal problems and things going on in my entire academic career. I just felt like I was coasting the whole of second year just because I was like, it was hard. Then miraculously, I think a switch happened in me when second year was over. I just realized like this is your life. And so for the second half of the year, summer started, I had internships to do, just enjoying life more. That's when everything just, and I've always known who I am, but I felt like I truly found myself, what I stand for, what I want to do. And like midway 2022 to this now, I started my own life, and it was the best thing I could have ever done, because not be happier. Like looking back and how I felt in the beginning of 2022 in comparison to now, amazing. And I also think I reached an age where I realized like decisions I make and the things I want to do, I'm fully accountable for these decisions I make. This recognition inspired me to develop and grow, and so why I truly believe this year has gone so uphill for me, and I couldn't be happier. It's essential for me to be able to share that, and whilst I have not achieved everything I've wanted to do this year, I feel more accomplished than I could have ever imagined. And that's why I'm going to be telling you how you can make 2023 your best year yet, because I have every intention of doing everything I did times 10 next year. Let's start sorting out how we can make 2023 our best year yet. When it comes to New Year goals, there are quite a few things that I think go into making like resolutions for the new year. Up until the year before last year, I was always doing unachievable goals because I didn't break down everything I wanted to do. I didn't take time out to think about the processes of how I'm going to achieve these goals. And so last year, I merely separated it into categories, and then only had like 3 to 5 goals per subcategory in my life of what I want to achieve. And that is the exact same thing we're going to be doing this year. So we're going to get out my Notion. So this is my page, and this is the page I made for myself. At the top of it, I think it's always important to have like an overview, like aim of the year, so like vision for the year. I think last year, we can look back at it, last year my vision for the year or theme for the year was extraordinary growth and success. That's my theme for this year, to be unapologetically me, if I can say the word correctly, because I just think I've started doing that, and I just really want to continue doing that for the rest of this year. And I mean it in all areas of my life. So I mean it like educationally, I mean it creatively, I mean it mentally, like just doing things for myself and like doing it with every intention from inside myself. So I think the bigger picture, why I have this, is that just put a couple of sentences in terms of like what you want your overall year to be like just saying what you want for yourself. So it can be 2 to 3 lines or sentences, but nothing too long, not a big paragraph, but like just a short recap on everything you want. last year I put what I put there, but this is just an example of what I mean by this. 2023 goals. I think there are two things I need to mention before I speak about goals. I have found this new way, or I think I even saw it on a YouTube video, which I'll link below. I think it's important to write out your goals, but then when it comes to looking at how you're going to achieve these goals separately, I would do it quarterly. So the year is 12 months, splitting that year into 4 quarters and then looking at the goals you want to achieve in those quarters are how I plan my year. Here, as you can see, is how I've once again split it up. So at the top, right at the top, I have my top 3 goals for the year, and these can be like a cross section between all the different areas. So if your biggest one was like in your education, that's one of your biggest goals. So for me, it would be to graduate with a certain grade. I'd put that as one of my top 3 goals, which I think will be graduate, have realistic expectations and goals. And I feel like that's another thing that has helped me like stop disappointment. So yeah, we're going to have realistic expectations for ourselves. Next up, I've split my 2023 goals into separate categories. So I've done personal, YouTube, social media, career, health, fitness and education, and I'm not sure if there's anything else I'm forgetting, but I think I've covered all of it. Last year I only had 4 categories, which were personal, education, YouTube and career, but this year I thought I'd make it a bit broader, just because now that I've achieved some goals this year, I should aim bigger, better. Yeah, so personal, inside I've got like 1 to 5 goals, and all of them I have 1 to 5 goals. 10, 20 too much, 3 to 5 goals, perfect. I'm going to fill out my goals, but this is overall how I plan it out. Then you just have it there to look at for like reflection. You know what you're aiming to achieve. Whilst we're almost done with writing down our goals and aims for the year, I think one area is looking at quarterly planning, and I think this is a game changer. When you don't have set time periods or set time stamps to when you want to achieve things, I think it makes it harder for you to actually practically see how you can achieve this. I have done it on my page where I have quarterly planning, and then I split it into quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, and inside quarter 1, so this would be between January and March, the different goals you want within it, and then you have the months underneath activities and planning. After looking at all the goals you want for 2023, I would split them up into what quarter of the year you'd like to focus on this goal and try to achieve it. And also just bear in mind, like, these goals don't need to be massive. So one of my personal goals is to read, and I think be specific. So let's say 2 books per month. I enjoy reading, and I think I should implement it in my life just better. I think another personal goal is to practice self-care more. So yeah, practice self-care is another personal goal. Finally, before we move on to the next section of this video, I like looking at reflections and growth for the year. So I have these prompts here, which I'll put on the screen on this side, and I just have like different questions. So it's like my 3 favorite parts of 2022. What am I most proud of? What challenged me the most? When did I most feel scared? What did I learn about myself in 2022? Things I've accomplished this year. And then underneath that, I also have a block where it says 2023 growth, things I want to do, what I want to become, words that I'd use to, you know, describe my next year. I also say things I will say no to. I feel like I personally struggle. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a people pleaser, but I don't like to disappoint people, and if I feel like I can make their life easier, I would do that for them. So I think writing down things I will say no to next year and having that self-awareness of knowing your boundaries is important to have. And whilst we're in that section of talking about our goals and aims, I also think another key thing, which would probably end up being one of my goals, is setting a routine and just routines overall. When it comes to routines, this is one of the main ways I've slacked probably over the year. One thing I've found is that I get overwhelmed. As a result of that, I've also just slacked with my routines too, whether it's skincare, morning routine, evening routine. Like, it's just been all over the place. So that is one area which I think is important for all of us to step up next year. So having a really good morning routine, having a really good evening routine that you can follow, stick to, just help make your life so much easier. Another thing which not many people say, writing down routines for when you're in a specific mood is really essential, or can be really helpful in controlling your emotions. So for example, I have written down things to do when I'm sad, for example, or things to do when I'm anxious, or things to do when I'm feeling overwhelmed. Having set things that you might do for yourself in order to combat that, like knowing what makes you feel better instead of resorting to like an unhealthy means of dealing with an emotion. What I've written down for when I'm sad is cry it out if I need to. I don't think I'm a crier, but if I need to, needs be. I also wrote open my window and write in my journal. That's another habit I hope to like develop next year. I also wrote down go for a walk or a run, switch off my phone and cook a meal, or address the issue when I'm ready. So those are the things I've put in place for when I'm sad. I think it's really easy to let yourself shut down, not do anything, but if you've done this already, like do it at the beginning of the year for all your different emotions, and then if you're feeling a type of way, have a look at it and see what you've written down that you know will make yourself feel better. And we can move on to the part I'm most excited about. Get yourself a drink and let's get into it. So for this process, I'm doing mine digitally because I don't have a printer here, and honestly the one at home does not have colour either. When it comes to creating your vision board, I think the first step is writing down words or goals or images. So looking at the goals that we've put or made before, looking at those and using those as like one word pinpoints of inspiration. So I wrote down a couple words as my source of inspiration, and that includes joy, self-care, wealth, graduate, health, fitness, gym, travelling. So I'm going to use all those words. So get down a piece of paper, write down all the words that you want to, and we're going to use all of that to make our vision board. First step of the process, I wouldn't recommend anything else but Pinterest. So I've made my 2023 vision board and I've just filled it with images of what I want my year to look like. So get a Pinterest board and add a bunch of photos. With creating your vision board, I used Google Slides last year to create my vision board, but there are so many apps. You can use Notion, you can use literally PowerPoints, or you can print out a bunch of pictures, get an A4 piece of paper or A3 piece of paper and just stick it on. This year I think I'm going to use Canva, so we're going to do that now. This is what my current page is looking off is. It's got a bunch of like empty templates where you can just put pictures into. So if you see on the side here, I've literally dragged all my images that I'd like into the corner, uploaded it to Canva, and now it's just time to start creating. So I think I'm going to try and start off with putting one each of each like theme, so like fitness, traveling, fashion, friends, socializing, and just get started with that. And then after that you can personalize it and move it around. I like using Canva just because it's so like easy to move things around. My vision board for 2023. Obviously I might tweak it and move things around. I also think I want to add a few more quotes in between like certain parts of it. That is really it. That is how you create the vision board. Let's move on to the next section of this video. The next part of making 2023 our best year yet is clean out. So I mean this in terms of cleaning your environment, cleaning your digital space, whether it's cleaning your wardrobe. It's getting rid of all the things you don't need, so that firstly you're in an environment where you feel like you can thrive, and secondly you don't open your wardrobe and feel like there's a bunch of things I don't need here. I'm going to be decluttering firstly my room. I'm switching up my room again because I don't like when it's not perfect. I'm also after that, once it's all sorted, we're going to declutter my laptop and also my phone. So my inspiration for what I want to do on the wall is this picture here. whilst I have shown you just some of the many ways that you can make 2023 your best year yet, I think the most important one to me is this one, which is living for yourself. Now, whilst this might be one of the areas in life which is actually the hardest to achieve, because in most cases you're always constantly surrounded by people telling you what they think or what you should do. But these are some of the things I implemented this year to ensure that I can effectively live life for myself. The first one is setting boundaries with your friends and family. The second one is saying no to things that you do not want to do. The third one is doing everything with your passion from within. And the fourth one is always reminding yourself to think about the bigger picture. In reality, people judging you says a lot more about them than it does about yourself. And with that, I leave you to make 2023 your best year yet. No matter how many challenges are to come, you've got this.